Today, we get spooky. No, I need to have the mic closer to my mouth. Today, we get spooky. All right, y'all. Welcome, Mainers, New Englanders, and everyone else. Today, I'm trying to have a little bit of fun. I want to bring news and I want to bring information about the state of Maine, but I also want to have some fun with it. And my personality, I'm not sure, was quite shining through in the last videos. So I'm trying to be a little less uptight and a little more my true, authentic self. So today I have a few different articles pulled up that are just fun and good to be aware of. I mean, they're all Halloween or spooky based, which is helpful because I'm not sure when the videos are going to come out compared to when I'm filming them. So today I'm filming this one on the 17th, but it's not likely to come out until the 20th or 21st. I'm still trying to figure out a rhyme and reason to having all of the things come out. I want to try and stay as up to date as I can with the news articles. So I need to film those closer to release date, but I also want to have time to do some deep dives into the ballot. And I'm going to get back to Maine's November ballot in a couple videos. I just need a little bit of time to do some more research and to really dig into it. I do keep pulling up stuff and I keep noting things on my phone. I just need probably this weekend, hopefully this weekend, some time to actually delve into it. So in the meantime, today I'm going to bring some spooky news. I'm probably also going to film a segment of some actual serious news. News isn't always fun, so you can't always make it fun. So I figured I'd make a fun video, and then I would get to the serious video. I'll probably upload them on separate days. That's just to help the algorithm, because the more videos that I pump out in a week, the more that it'll get promoted. And as y'all know, I'm a up and rising, well, I hope to be up and coming, but I'm still a rising channel here. So thank you for being with me, especially if you're watching these early on and not as part of some kind of antiquities study. Far-fetched in the future. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so I think I went past it. I'm going to pull up a couple different stories that are Halloween, spooky based, and I don't need it. Actually, I do need to see exactly where this one comes from because 101.9 The Rock on the news app keeps claiming these stories, but then when I go to Google them and find them, turns out that they're actually written by someone else, and 101.9 The Rock just took them over. But unfortunately, that's not loading. I do have them pulled up. If it's not there, I think it might have been WCYY. But honestly, there's a couple people that have reposted the same article. So I'll post whichever link is most readily available because I'm a working man. I got off a shift at 6:30. It's 9:30 now, and I don't like to edit. I don't like to do more work in the technical field than I have to. Research, all for it. Even cleaning out my email, not about it. No, someone else can do that. So, on to spooky things. Written by Joey on September 23rd, 2023. He was a little too soon for this. It could have come out like 2 weeks later and probably had a little bit more of an impact. But here I am reading it, almost a month later. The 3 chilling ghost stories that make this college the most haunted campus in Maine. It's not a long article, so I'm probably just going to read it all. Although these ads keep getting in the way, and that's one thing that really annoys me when I'm trying to read the news. I'm not trying to buy anything. I don't want to see what kind of advertisements are going to pay the most to inundate me. I just want to read the information. So, a news site with no ads? Let me know where it is. I'll read all about it. Okay, back to spooky. Sitting on the banks of Sebago Lake, the campus of St. Joseph College in Standish is the picturesque model of small college campus life in Maine. But on more than one occasion, ghost stories have inundated campus life and left some former students with eerie feelings in an otherwise quiet campus existence. What exactly is haunting them? It depends on what you believe. The alleged haunting of the chapel. According to the hidden history of the Sebago Lakes region, the chapel at St. Joe's has been haunted by the spirit of a young boy since its inception. Prior to St. Joe's being established, the young son of the family who owned the land tragically passed away. He was buried in the spot where the chapel stands now. Before the chapel was built, his remains were moved to a permanent resting spot. But his soul never left. Several former students have reported hearing a young boy laughing or playing outside or inside the chapel. It even includes a picture of the chapel. At night, I can see why it'd be spooky. The tragedy by the pond. Other ghostly sightings come from another tragic story. Along the coastline of a small pond on campus, witnesses believe that they've seen the figure of a young girl playing. As the story goes, a father built his daughter a playhouse near the pond. When her parents were distracted, she wandered into the pond and drowned. Her spirit has never left the area. Finally, the nun who could not let go. The last ghost story has been reported multiple times from Xavier Hall on campus. The hall, which was once the Verrill family home, also served as a residence hall for senior women. The nun is believed to be a friendly spirit and one who was so deeply rooted to the school that she simply could not part with it. Well, and that's how it ends. That's cherishing. Casper the friendly nun ghost. All right, so 101.9 The Rock was trying to claim that. They did repost it, so good for them. I'll try and link the original poster up above. Next up, we have controversy at the Auburn Orchard. The orchard is Wallington's Fruit House. It is such an innocent place. Who has a problem with a fruit house? Honestly, you're going to pick a fight with a fruit house? So this article was posted by WGME and was written by WGME staff on October 16th, 2023. Auburn haunted house stirs controversy over perceived violence against women. Auburn. A haunted house in Auburn is causing some controversy. Wallingford's Fruit House hosts a haunted house every year called Nightmare on the Ridge. Oh, and of course, but this year, some community members are speaking out about some of the material inside. According to the Sun Journal, some people took issue to the sight of a woman being sawed in half. A couple of local people reportedly suggested the piece depicted violence against women. We had a mannequin who unfortunately was a female that we were preparing to feed to the demon. And in his diet, we have everything, male, females, and it just happened to be female. Poor choice of a place, maybe where the saw was placed, which was what caused the controversy, said Peter Ricker with Wallingford's Fruit House. Organizers of the haunted house told the Sun Journal that they've had the piece on display for years and didn't recall there being complaints in the past. No, no one complained in the past. I mean, if we're going to complain about women, I mean, what, so are men the only one that can be depicted as being murdered or subjected? I mean, it's a haunted house. I mean, if it had been like too satanic and you took offense to that, I can understand to a degree. I mean, I can understand, but it's also a public business and you're free to go elsewhere. You don't need to go there. And if you do have a problem with it, just don't go back. I mean, why are you gonna complain and then WGME 13 is gonna write an article about it? I mean, there's women, I mean, if they have graphic images or graphic things of children or babies, I can understand. But even like a baby doll just being casually lopped up into a demon's mouth, like, okay. I mean, if we're gonna get all worried about women, like, what about the gargoyles? Like, nobody ever worries about the gargoyles. I know they're made of stone, I guess, but if we're gonna worry about women and we're gonna worry about all these things, like, why aren't we worrying about gargoyles? I'm just kidding. They have a picture of a gargoyle, and to me, it was just as ridiculous. Not that violence against women is an actual real problem, but not in this case. So, moving on. Behold, the famous Tramp chair, an unsettling chapter in Maine history. Again, 101.9 The Rock tried to claim this, but when I went and looked it up, someone else had originally written it. So maybe the original writer is Jason Stewart, published October 16th, 2023. Again, it's a short article, so I'll just read it all. Every state has something they're not proud of. History in general has lots of ups and downs. It's hard to point to at any time. It's hard to point at any one time in history of the world where everything seemed just dandy. As time passes, all we can do is hope we learn from the errors of our ways. Sometimes that takes a long time, and sometimes these horrible things didn't happen as long ago as we think. Maine in particular has always been on the good side of things. We fought with the Union in the Civil War. Mainers gave their lives in countless wars and have always defended our right to be Mainers. But even inside of all that, you come across things that seem like there's no way that could have ever happened here. Ever heard of the Tramp chair? I won't include pictures here because that's too much editing, but I will include the link where you can see the picture down below. Also, just Google search Tramp chair and you'll find it. In the late 1800s, quite a bit much closer to the 1900s than seems comfortable for what we are about to discuss, there was a device placed in a few towns around Maine. This device was a punishment where people had to endure all means of public humiliation and physical discomfort that would serve as a deterrent for vagrancy. Back then, of course, those folks were called tramps or hobos. Folks would be locked inside the metal chair for hours on end, and people would constantly harass its occupant. Then they have a rendering of an old Maine article, which includes a picture of the chair in use in cartoon. Only 3 were ever made and were invented by a man named Sanford Baker of Oakland, Maine. What a proud man. According to the Rockland Historical Society, it even made it into popular mechanics back in the day. It would seem this form of public torture and humiliation didn't last for a super long time. Thank God. It seems inhumane in almost every way and completely degrading. Luckily, Maine doesn't have this sort of thing these days. Although with the world being dominated by online bullying and harassment, it's almost like it's the same thing, just in digital form. But at least no one's locked up in the middle of the street having people make fun of them. Definitely a dark time in Maine's past. I suppose you could do what you want in your own village, but probably not tramp chairs. All right, pretty innocent article. Also, I guess kind of spooky. But just a couple thoughts on that. Um, like starting back with history, like nowhere in history are you gonna find rainbows and butterflies. I mean, obviously, but you get what I'm saying. So, like, and we are getting better. If you look back, I mean, there were people butchering entire villages because one man pissed them off. And then they went and beheaded that person's family and burned down the village and killed everyone in there. And that wasn't uncommon. And so I think we get kind of hung up in history sometimes where, like, only one side is bad or only one side is good. But it's like, look at anyone and everyone's cultural country history, and you're going to find unsavory things. And I do think we're getting better. I do think in general that more and more people want peace. I do know that in all of my travels, regardless of what the media says, legacy media, individuals that you meet on the street, that you work with in different companies and different resorts and different places all over, they do not want war. They don't want bloodshed. Most people are not racist. Most people are not homophobic. You meet them and you sit down with them and you chill with them. You drink a beer or coffee. You shoot the shit. You share your pain. They share your pain. They share their pain. It opens up whole worlds. I had just come out in 2012. So I guess I've been out for 11 years at this point. And I had just come out and I decided that I was going to be a whitewater rafting guide in Tennessee. And I'm from Maine. And all my friends were like, yo, you just came out. What are you thinking going to the deep south? And I was like, fuck it. I want to do it. This is something I always wanted to do. And I'm at a new chapter in my life and I'm gung ho. For $100, I can buy a Greyhound ticket and I can bust my ass back home. I ended up spending 4 years down there and making some really deep, meaningful connections. And I did not experience what most people would make you believe for intolerance. I mean, I was in Cocke County, Tennessee. I was the only out gay guy in Cocke County, Tennessee, home of the Fighting Cocks. But there were other homosexuals there. I just had enough balls to be out about it. And people respected me for that. They didn't hate me and they didn't oppress me. And if anyone around me had, I would have had a mob of fit, athletic, whitewater rafting guides to screw them up. But I never had to call on them because that's not the kind of world that we actually live in. There are racists, there are homophobes, there are transphobes. They do exist, but they are not out there in numbers like legacy media wants us to believe. So that was my little rant about history, and then I guess I digressed into media lying and everything. But just moving on back to the Tramp chair, I don't know. I'm kind of, what if we brought them back? But instead of putting vagrants, we put people that post things online that would not say those same words in front of their grandmother and a priest. Yeah, if you're going to post something online and you can't imagine yourself actually saying those same exact words out loud in front of your grandmother and a priest, Tramp chair, that's where you go. If we all just became a lot more accountable for how we acted online and how we present ourselves, we do have a reputation, even online, and actually probably more so online because, as I kind of joked at the beginning of this video with antiquity studying this, what you post online is forever. And maybe this doesn't get very many views, but it is online. And then it could get no views for hundreds of years, but be saved on some kind of server that's protected, that's underground, that gets preserved, that yada, yada, yada. 1,000 years from now gets pulled up and then is studied for historical reasons. I mean, the same goes for all of it. I mean, everything you post online is forever. And that's something that most people don't talk about and don't warn about, but it is something that we all need to be constantly vigilant of and teach the younger generation. Because the younger generation is being brought up always and only around technology. Whereas I was born in the early 90s, 1990, I had a childhood of a good 8, 9 summers, maybe even 10, 12 summers of no real technology. Of course, there was electronics, and of course, there were like N64, and we did have computers. And my family, we did have those things, but they were 20 minutes at a time pop in the summer once it was dark. But usually, once it was dark, I was already made to go to bed because by 9 o'clock, by the time it was dark. So for me, video games in the summer didn't even really exist. So I did grow up without this, and especially without social media. Those didn't come about until I was 22, 27, more prevalent, and then beyond. But now the new generation, I mean, from womb, from inception and womb to birth to 18 years old, they're photographed and they're online and they have a presence and they're constantly being snapped and videoed and trying to attract attention. And that is such a scary thing that we're doing. And it's not the children's fault. And it's not even necessarily our fault, because tech unleashed a monster that most of us didn't necessarily even consent to. If most of us were to genuinely think back 10 years ago, a lot of people had flip phones. A lot of people did not ever imagine switching over to having smartphones and having data and having social media presence and all these things. It's crazy how fast it took over. And we really had no consent. So we need to learn quickly from our mistakes, and we need to balance and make an etiquette for social media, for technology in general. When you're around other people, put your fucking cell phone down. When you're getting ready for bed, don't have it near your face. Read a fucking book. Fuck your phone, read a damn book. I have bookmarks that say that. Fuck your phone, read a damn book. All right, this video is made for adults. I don't post it for children, so I'm allowed to swear. I do try to moderate, but I'm a working man. What are you gonna do? So, all of that to say, don't forget to drink water. And this has been a somewhat spooky edition. I am going to end up filming another segment right after this. In the future, maybe I'll do them all as one segment. But for now, I think it'll just make it easier if I split them up. Let me know feedback. Comment down below what you think. Do you want longer segments at a time? Do you like them broken up so you have a little bit every day? Let me know. And if you're new here, which most everyone is, please go ahead and subscribe and like this video. The algorithm really helps, and I'm really trying to present information that is meaningful to everyday Mainers and just fun, quirky, philosophical, political, pop culture-y, just something that's different from what you're offered, and giving you some point on, especially when it comes to the ballot. I'm going to be covering the Senate race next year, or the House and Senate race next year. Actually, I'm not sure it's Senate. But anyway, I'm going to be covering all the different election stuff because I love elections. I love the politics. Well, I like studying it. Let me be careful there. I don't really love it, but I do like studying it, kind of like people enjoy following football or wrestling. Wrestling's a better example. I mean, we know why. It's all a show. So I do like following it. So if you like those same kind of things, then go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, and I look forward to more videos. All right? Everyone, have a great day. Don't forget to drink water.